Lin is an orphan who lost his mother in a car accident, and his father died because of gambling debts. On his 18th birthday, just as he was trying to celebrate alone in his tiny apartment, an old man suddenly burst in and dragged him off to the spiritual world. There, the old man gave him something called the War God System, a special power only Lin could see, making it like a secret advantage. The old man, a powerful elder, explained that Lin had spiritual eyes, a rare gift that allowed him to cultivate magic. Because of this, he could enroll in the top magic academy in the spiritual world. Lin quickly understands the situation and accepts the chance. After handing him a recommendation letter, the elder vanished. Suddenly, a glowing portal appears in front of Lin. He reached out to touch it, but instead of stepping through, he accidentally absorbed its energy. Before he can react, a beautiful girl came crashing out of the portal and landed right on top of him. The girl introduces herself as Zion from the Vermilion Bird sect and thanks Lin for saving her. Together, they enter the academy, where students are gathering for an aptitude test. The test measures their cultivation level and sorts them into classes, ranked from 1 to 100. All they have to do is touch a magical mirror called the Lustrous Divine Monolith. Zion goes first and is placed in Class 1, the elite class reserved for the strongest. When it's Lin's turn, he hands his recommendation letter to the instructor. The instructor notices that his recommendation letter is from Lu, a legendary immortal master who reached a level above gods. The numerology instructor, Ming Yuan, boldly declares that Lin will bring miracles in the spiritual world, raising his hopes. The moment he touches the mirror the instructor reveals, he becomes a living legend. He has no cultivation level at all, the worst student in history who ever got assigned to Class 1. Lin comes back to his place, feeling really disappointed, sensing the hatred of all the students towards him. He's getting criticized by all the students for becoming a Class 1 student with a lower cultivation level than theirs. One student challenges him to a fight, but Zion steps in and takes him away before things escalate. Back in his dormitory room, he checks out the War God system and starts working on completing the system's quests. The first quest requires him to do a certain amount of push-ups, which he completes one by one, leveling up to the third stage of cultivation. Asking the system for the next quest, he's shocked when it reveals that he needs to do 10 billion push-ups. Feeling like this quest is impossible to complete, Lin goes out to ask Zion for some advice. As he was heading to her room, a guy suddenly jumped out and tried to throw a few punches at him. He easily dodged the punch and used the cover of darkness to hit him from behind. He realized it was Liu Dabao, the guy who had opposed his joining the class earlier. Dabao tried to use a talisman against him, but Zion jumped in, pointing her sword at his throat. They both looked around and spotted the real Dabao yelling and challenging Lin outside the dorm. Just as they were about to do something, the imposter lunged at Zion, but Lin stepped in to block the attack. Zion seized the moment to strike back at the imposter, but he managed to escape. The following day, Lin realizes that everyone looks down on him for being weak. Determined to change their minds, he throws himself into his studies. However, during class, he struggles to grasp the teaching style, especially since many teachers don't even appear in their human forms. His disappointment grows when Miss Ewing spends the lesson teaching everyone a mobile game instead of actual lesson. The craziest part is when instructor Ming Yuan puts the whole class to sleep for a lecture on analyzing dream. When Lin finally wakes up, Miss Ewing tells him to spar with the class monitor, Yuan Chang. Zion took a stand against this fight since Lin's cultivation level is way below Chang's. She tries to attack with fireballs, but Chang effortlessly blocks them and uses a spirit formation to hold him back. Seeing Zion at a disadvantage, Lin jumps in to interrupt the fight. He unleashes a strange power that makes him get the power of one stage higher than he currently has. Lin goes for a flying punch, but Chang dodges and traps him with spiritual chains, trying to use formation pressure to take him down. However, Lin intentionally misses his punch to exploit a weak point in the formation, which helps him elevate his cultivation to the 4th stage. He immediately asks for 130 spiritual stones to tackle his next quest for the 5th stage, but Cheng hands him 5,000 spirit stones instead, which are like currency in the spiritual world. The next day, the system notifies Lin about the upcoming battle for Freedom, a survival contest deemed a special quest that he can't turn down. To succeed, he needs to break into the top 50, or else he'll be turned into a girl for a year. Lin focuses on leveling up by absorbing spiritual stones, aiming for the 7th stage, but he realizes he's still too weak to make the top 50. In a panic, he starts begging the system for more quests and ways to get stronger. The system informs him that he can boost his cultivation by defeating a cultivator at the 9th stage or higher. He quickly recalls that Zion is above the 9th stage and tries to persuade her to let him win in several matches. However, he ends up requesting other things, like the essence of Mountain Pill, to aid in mastering a powerful skill known as mountain quacking. He also inquires if she can share any intel about his competition opponents. Then, he tries to convince Chang to go easy on him in a fight, but Chang only agrees to reveal his weaknesses. With no solid options left, Lin finally gathers his courage and asks Zion if he can sneak attack her, but she misinterprets it as a romantic confession. The next day, he tries to catch Zion off guard with a spiritual move, but accidentally touches her in a way that makes her storm off in anger. As she runs away, she throws him some mountain pills and the info he had asked for earlier. Once he gets back, Lin takes a pill meant to detox his body, not realizing it means he'll be stuck with diarrhea for the next 13 days. While in the restroom, Lin starts brainstorming how to tackle his issue since the competition is in 10 days, but he's going to be tied up in the bathroom for the next 13. The following day, Chung comes by to check on Lin, wondering why he skipped class, but he misinterprets it as Lin battling an internal demon. Chung then starts chanting the Heart Sutra, which actually helps speed up Lin's detox process. Lin asks Chung to keep chanting the sutra for the next few days to help him out. 10 days later, Lin finds himself in a competition with just 3% left to finish his body cleanse. One of the oldest elders lays out the simple rules. Defeat more opponents to climb the ranks. The elder also casts a protective golden light spell for the students, which will shatter if anyone takes too much damage. Once the spell breaks, the students will be teleported back to safety. Lin and Dabao end up in the same spot, which freaks Dabao out since Lin just hit the 7th cultivation stage. Lin walks up to Dabao and snaps his sword just to ask if he has any toilet paper, to which Dabao replies, no. Lin then goes off to finish his body cleanse and hides in some bushes. However, a group finds him when he's down to his last 1%. He buys time them by convincing them to fight amongst themselves. After finishing his massive dump, he completes the quest, reaches the 8th stage, and gains a new skill called Mountain Quacking Fist. He quickly tries out his new skill on the 4 guys and knocks them out of the competition. Later, Lin runs into Dabao, who takes him to his hideout where he finds nearly 300 students asking to be gently removed from the competition to avoid serious injuries, which boosts Lin's ranking by 40,000 spots. Then, a cultivator tries to ambush him, but a girl comes to his rescue. Lin realizes the girl is Liu Qian, known as the #1 god of killing. Qian challenges him to a quiz with 100 questions about the mortal world. If he answers correctly, he can join her Liu Club, but if he fails, she'll chop off his head. After he nails all the questions, they head to Black Rock Peak to finish Lin's quest and boost his cultivation level. Once there, he starts practicing a martial skill called Earth Lotus Divine Art by absorbing energy from the earth. The system tells him that mastering this skill will allow him to defeat a spirit-nurturing cultivator. Suddenly, he sees a guy named Chin Chin, who claims he's been waiting for Lin, but then he vanishes. Lin and Qian spend the entire night gaming on their phones. As the sun comes up, Qian asks Lin if they're friends, and he says yes. However, she accuses him of lying all along. She questions why he's been using his powers since reaching Black Rock Peak. Lin tries to explain that he's been training hard, but she doesn't buy it and starts gathering energy to attack him. Out of nowhere, the system forces Lin to use his new skill on her. Qian pulls out her sword and strikes at Lin, but she hesitates when she sees that his cultivation has improved overnight. She then asks him how he learned so quickly. Lin tries to reveal the truth about the system, but she remains skeptical. He shows her a mountain essence pill, warning her that it will give her diarrhea if she eats it. Curious to see if he's telling the truth, she decides to try it. As her body reacts to the pill, Lin uses his new martial arts skill to help her avoid the diarrhea. Before heading out, Qian hands him her headband, which protects against spirit-nurturing level cultivators. Lin ignores the guy and searches for Zion, interrupting her battle with Jai and his crew. Zion explains that Jai is the one who tried to ambush Lin by pretending to be Dabao and also placed a bounty on him. Lin taps into his new ability and takes down everyone in the group with a single punch each, boosting his cultivation to the 9th stage. Meanwhile, his buddy Chang is up against Wang Shu, the previous year's competition winner, who threatens to kill all the disciples if Chen Qin doesn't step up to fight him. Chang asks Lin and the other students to band together and help him set up a spiritual formation to take down Wang Shu. But they both get overwhelmed as Wang unleashes lightning skills everywhere. One of the lightning bolts is aimed at Lin, but Chen Qin shows up, stopping the attack with just a finger and vanishing after asking Lin if he has already learned that skill. The system then tells Lin that he needs to defeat Wang to break into the top 50. Lin quickly takes out Zion and Dabia from the competition to keep them safe, then challenges Wang to a fight. Wang attacks with his dragon spear and lightning strikes, but Lin's mountain quacking fist technique doesn't faze him. Lin then copies Chen Qin's heavenly splitting finger move and swiftly defeats Wang. After passing out, he wakes up 10 days later to find everyone treating him with respect, now seeing him as the strongest instead of an easy target. A month later, Lin, Zion, and Chang are named divine messengers of the spiritual world, tasked with sealing the demonic pagoda and getting rid of the Demon King from the mortal realm. They set off on their mission and meet Ling, a member of the Cultivation Alliance, who offers her help and takes them to their headquarters. They end up meeting Yuan, president of the Cultivation Alliance, who tells Lin and his crew that the mission is already complete. They've captured the demon god and are just dealing with the demon cult's disciples. So, the trio isn't needed, not just because they're late, but also because they're not strong enough. Suddenly, an alarm goes off, revealing that the Blood Clan warriors have teamed up with the demon cult. Tian tells the trio to leave again, but Lin challenges him to a fight. If he wins, they can join the battle. Instead of her dad, Ling attacks Lin, and Ling starts to beat him up. After taking a few hits, Lin begins to block her attacks. He then uses his ultimate speed to rush at Tian and employs the illusion technique Crybaby, making Tian cry. Yuan steps in front of Tian to take the hit for her and challenges Lin. Yuan attacks with her power, forcing Lin to protect Ling from her strike. He then uses his divine almighty technique to overpower her and wins the fight. Yuan finally concedes and lets the trio assist by sending Ling and Lin to scout the enemy.